Hi! In my last episode, I completely closed the loop on everything that you would need to do in order to implement some change or improvement in your services. We already talked about gathering the data of the right problem, then finding the right solution, and lastly, implementing it. But last time I threw a question out there. Why aren't companies doing this permanently and still they have to wait for either consultants or a group of designers to come and tell them that they should be doing this when it's obvious for everyone that we should do it? In this episode, we're going to talk about how you can do all of the service design process, but make it stick into the company's culture. And this is, of course, going to reduce costs because you won't need all of the time to be doing these types of projects. And it's also going to make the company more efficient and more user-centric. So it brings a ton of benefits that we will be discussing today. But let's start by the obvious. Why isn't every company user-centric or service design oriented? Well, there are many roadblocks, and I've summarized them into 4 main roadblocks. The first one, I started talking about it on my previous episode, is that we have a lot of organizational silos and fragmented experiences. Because many organizations are structured in departments just for the ease of it. Like we have marketing, we have in-store, we have online, we have frontline staff, we have call centers, but everyone seems to be separate. And all of this siloed structure often gives a distorted view of the services because you're pushing it into another area of the organization. And Conway's law suggests that organizations tend to produce services that mirror their internal communication structures, meaning that if your organization is siloed, this will often create even more siloed services. So this is one of the main roadblocks why companies aren't using service design in their day-to-day life. The second one is going to be the complexity of services, because services are inherently intangible, they're heterogeneous, they're inseparable, and they are perishable. So I just said a bunch of things that make services very, very complex and often invisible to multiple stakeholders, which makes it also very hard to choreograph seamless end-to-end experiences because, again, most people are just trying to focus into whatever they can see or they are handling at the moment. The third important roadblock is going to be that many companies are usually mismanaging user expectations and consistency because they are failing to set clear directions on the expectations, which may lead to user dissatisfaction. And the last and final roadblock is going to be that many companies assume prior knowledge and lack of transparency. And this assumption of prior knowledge from the user most of the time leads to confusion and frustration, because a good service should always require no prior knowledge or use. And organizations sometimes fail to clearly explain why a decision has been made, which can lead to different disruptions, and it overall just makes it messy. But so probably all of those things are obvious to you. Like, these are things that are obvious in most companies, big or small. But we have to consider is how can we change these problems or turn them into opportunities for embedding this user-centric or service design mindset. So service design is not going to be about reaching a final destination. It's basically an ongoing commitment to understanding, adapting, and continuously improving all of the human experiences, which involves also internal experiences. So the goal is for service design to move beyond the individual projects that are for the user, because it could even become a continuous activity that's embedded into your organization, even to improve internal problems. So, as I told you 4 problems, I have 4 solutions on how you can start embedding it into your culture, but disclaimer, this won't happen just in one night. You won't wake up and tomorrow tell all your colleagues, okay, let's have this mindset, because it will take a longer time, of course. It's just things that you can start doing, especially if you're a people leader or if you have other people under you so they can start having the right mindset. the first key thing is going to be starting small, but always showing the value. So if you can document all of the projects that you've been doing with these initiatives, all of the project's impacts, the state of the experience, maybe even before and after, then showing the measurable impact, all of this is going to be very important for showcasing value. And I only worked with service design in one semester in my university, and we were even showing management how the experience was looking for them versus after them, because we did a consulting job, and management was shocked. So if you're constantly gathering data and basically just using it, numbers will prove your point. And this approach also is going to be a good option for creating the safe space for designing activities where you can have predictable time boxes and allowing some learning and adaptation from everyone in the company. So always gather data and document it. The second important thing is going to be always maintaining management buy-in. And why do I say this? Because one of the biggest struggles, I'm going to say, for every employee is going to be getting this management buy-in, because showing tangible results is going to be very important and it's key, but you have to keep bringing them to management in order for receiving funding or just keeping them engaged. But nothing is more engaging to management than seeing either cost reductions or increased sales, especially from my own experience. So if one of the services that you have has had direct impact on revenue, which means increasing sales or decreasing costs, this is going to be paramount, and you should keep gathering this data, because what management wants to do is basically, and ultimately, there are probably other managers, but most of the times they just want the company to grow. So if you can demonstrate them that this user centricity is going to lead them to better growth, this is going to be crucial. So again, seek for all of the situations where you can either increase sales or reduce costs, and this can be done a lot through service design, especially cost reduction, because misunderstanding of services a lot of the time leads to customer support, call centers, and all of these things that are very, very costly to companies. So if you can demonstrate how much money you guys are saving just by implementing these design initiatives, it's going to be crucial. The third thing that you can do is in your team implement this doing and not talking attitude. And what do I mean by this? Whenever someone tells you, oh, I think it would be a good idea to do this, tell them to not talk, but do. And I think now, especially now with AI, you can lead into that mindset. If someone's offering you some idea, they should build it. They should do it. Give them wings to do it. Give them time if they need it, or either yourself. If you're thinking of showing your boss or your manager a good idea, don't just tell them or show them a pitch. Take the time to actually build it, and do not talk, because this is going to speak very loud, and this is going to be the base of service design, because what you want to do is not have a final version. You just want to start showing things that work and how things are improving when you're doing the small changes. So I would highly, highly recommend using AI into your everyday life at work, and doing, not talking, and implementing this mindset, because this is going to show the service design in the company. And the last fourth thing that I would suggest is implementing daily stand-ups. And this is something that my previous company used to have. It's basically regular iterations review, which will align teams and identify problems early, which will ensure the continuous progress. And this can be done for any type of project. If you have a team and you're all working on something, you should be checking in with them either daily or weekly or something to see what the progress is, where their problems are, and what can you do to fix them. If you're checking in with people, even if it's 15 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, It's going to be enough to keep this thing going. My company used to do it weekly, but I think because they had this user-centric mindset is what helped them approach all of the problems into a faster way that would prioritize, again, doing, not talking. So those 4 things, which would include daily startups, doing, not talking, attitude, maintaining management buying by improving growth, or starting small, gathering data, and providing value are going to be the best ways to ensure that service design isn't just a one-time thing in your organization, but it becomes a permanent thing. And I can assure you that this is going to lead to either reduced costs or increased sales just because it's making the organization more agile. Service design is collaborative, is iterative, is sequential, it's real, and it also helps build a lot of empathy. And all of these things are very important for individuals and for companies. So a good service will care more about the people on the other end of the screen than what's actually on the screen. And this is a mindset that I think everyone, startups to big corporations, should always have in mind when they are creating a product or service. So there you have it. Now you already know how to create an entire loop of service design projects and how to try to embed it into your day-to-day organization. In my next episode, which will be my final episode of service design, I'm going to reveal what is the most important skill that you have to learn in service design and some tips on how you can improve it. If you liked my episode, please subscribe and give me a review because that helps me tremendously to reach other people from the world with my MBA podcast. Also, let me know in the comments what you learned and if you liked this episode, and I'll see you next week to keep learning more about service design.